I'm going to call to order the Sherwood City Council meeting for January 6, 2015 to order. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business will be swearing in of new council officials for Santa Clark.
Well, three. It's three.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting with, I leave after you.
Okay.
Go ahead. You go down.
Okay. Sylvia, there's some people with a camera in the back aimed at this corner. Do you guys mind here so everybody can get their pictures? Sylvia, come over here. I was specifically asked, who out there, tell me, say you're welcome.
Please repeat after me. Okay. I state your name.
I, Christina Clark,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and the state of Oregon
and the state of Oregon
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the responsibilities
and I will faithfully, honestly,
and
impartially
discharge.
do it again.
Okay, and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the responsibilities
discharge the responsibilities
bestowed upon me as mayor
of
of the city of Sherwood.
Sherwood.
Congratulations. Just need you to sign this, Mayor.
Yeah. Don't, when swearing in, you have to raise your right hand? No? We always had to.
So, Mayor, when you take your seat, if you want to call up the other three electeds as a group,
Okay.
we'll swear them in all together.
All right. All right, I would like to call up our three newly elected councilors, Jennifer Harris, Jennifer Kuiper, and Sally Robinson.
Ladies, you can raise your right hand if you're comfortable doing so, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sally Robinson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Oregon
and the state of Oregon
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and the laws of the city of Sherwood,
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the responsibilities
discharge the responsibilities
bestowed upon me as city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
bestowed upon me as city councilor of the city of Sherwood.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, while everyone gets seated, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I certainly appreciate all of you taking your time this evening to see our swearing-in ceremony and come to our city council. I would love to see this amount of people at our city council on a regular basis. That would be awesome. And we'll have time at the end to have each of the counselors have their council moment to speak. But I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out and for the huge support. We have 3 fantastic new counselors here, and I am incredibly proud to be sitting up here as your mayor. So I just want to thank you very much. And thank my family for putting up with a very long and arduous campaign. And I know that the new counselors feel the same, and they're very excited about being here. We've had opportunity to get to know each other a little bit, and I'm sure that as time goes on, we'll get to know each other even more. And I hope for getting lots and lots of good work done, and I hope for an opportunity to see Sherwood move positively forward. So with that, Sylvia, will you call roll call?
Mayor Carp,
Here.
Council President Henderson,
Here.
Councilor Kling,
Here.
Councilor Harris, here, Councilor Kuiper,
Here.
Councilor Robinson.
Here.
Thank you.
And do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as stated.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
Actually, nay, sorry.
You have an approval of agenda with the 4-2 vote?
Okay. And so consent agenda is next. Do I have a motion to approve consent?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
No, you haven't. Please feel free to vote.
So,
Your mic's not on.
there we go. Okay, so we're approving the consent to discuss. Since I'm new, I need a little
So
bit
the
of
consent,
direction.
the consent agenda is listed.
Okay.
And so we are approving it as listed.
Okay, I think that's possible. I was just wondering is there some protocol that we discussed on resolutions?
So,
Sylvia?
Councilor Kuiper is asking
I'm
about the
not-
resolutions that were previously tabled in 2014, I believe June or July. So these are resolutions that are being brought forward. The council can, and I would defer to City Attorney Chris Green to assist with this, can address these items by removing from the table, or if you leave them under consent with the majority that the council is not asking for them to be removed, then it's assumed that the council is approving them to move forward. So again, if Chris Green can just kind of add to that.
Yeah, let me back up for a moment and address first the question, what do you do with a consent agenda? And typically a consent agenda is approved as a whole without discussion. If there's an item on the consent agenda that you want to discuss, when you get to that point in the agenda, you ask that it be removed from consent and placed under probably new business. So if you wanted to discuss one of the items listed under consent, you would move that they be removed from consent and placed under new business where you could discuss them. But typically the consent agenda is either approved or not approved as a whole without discussion. So again, if you want to discuss something, it has to be taken out of consent and placed elsewhere on the agenda. Specific to these 2 items, I guess I didn't realize till earlier this evening that these 2 agenda items were placed on the table by the council back in June or July. Under Robert's rules, typically to remove something from the table, and that is done by motion, and it's a 2-part motion. You would move, for example, to remove it from the table and place it before the council for its consideration, or remove from the table and refer it to a committee, or remove from the table and dispense with it. You have to take something from the table and tell us what you're going to do with it. In this case, that didn't occur. It was placed on the consent agenda. But if a majority of the council declines to remove it from consent and place it before the council for its consideration, for example, under new business, then there is a majority of the council that has implicitly, if you will, decided to hear those items, remove them from the table, and approve them under consent. So it's the functional equivalent of a motion to remove from the table and place before the council. So if you want to approve those two resolutions without discussion, you can approve them as part of the consent agenda. If you want to discuss them, you'll need to remove them from consent and place them elsewhere on the agenda. Does that help?
It does a little, yes. But I just wanted to clarify a few things for for me personally about the two resolutions, because I was reading in the council packet.
Okay, hang on, I'm gonna stop you
okay.
because a motion has been made
Okay,
and seconded,
All
and so
right.
we need your vote.
okay.
So
So if I want to talk about it, I have to vote yay or nay?
you need to vote.
Yeah.
If you want to
Because
talk
we-
about it, you have to vote nay, and then the consent agenda will still be before the council. You can remove those items at that point.
Okay.
And then approve the rest of the consent agenda.
So we could still keep them on consent, but we move them so we could just
No, you
discuss them?
can't.
Okay, all right.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay,
it's a learning curve, I understand, but
I know.
the topic headings, you have to place one of those A, B, C, and D
Right.
under one of the topic headings. If you take it out from consent, it will probably go under new business. It's not really a public hearing item. Could make it a public hearing item. I suppose,
okay,
but-
and if we put it under new business, can we go back and approve the resolution after discussion?
Absolutely.
Yes, it would
absolutely.
go to
And
a
and that
vote.
would allow you to go
Okay.
ahead and
All
approve the
right.
2 minutes,
Okay.
the
So-
December meeting.
All right.
So just to be clear, just because I want to make sure that
Yeah.
you are clear in what we're doing. So a motion has been made to approve consent.
Okay,
It was seconded.
all right,
And we are voting on that motion.
okay.
So we're voting on whether we want to approve the consent
Okay,
agenda.
all
Okay,
right.
So,
So my vote
give
is
your vote.
nay, because I
Okay.
would like to discuss a little bit about that.
okay, so the motion fails, 3-3. So now there needs to be an additional motion.
Okay,
So I would like to make a motion under consent to remove items C and D, place them under new business so that council can have a discussion and we can approve the minutes for December 11th and 16 by leaving them under consent. That is my motion.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to remove items C and D. I do not think this is necessary. I think that we have talked about the appointment process for these two new budget committee members. They have been interviewed. There is no reason for us to continue delay, which is what the former council did for 7 months to Mayor Middleton. So I will be voting no on this motion. But there hasn't been a motion and a second. And so now we will vote. All in favor? All opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Motion fails. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda?
I repeat my motion to approve consent agenda.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving on to presentations. We've got an Eagle Scout recognition for Jared Hawk. Is Jared Hawk with us tonight? Yay, come on forward to the mic. Thank you for coming this evening. Absolutely. Now, the little button on the mic and that one, I don't know why, tends to be the sketchy one, but it needs to be up. And we would love to hear about your Eagle Scout project.
Yeah. Okay. Is that good? Okay. So my Eagle Scout project was at a place called Wetzel Woods. It's a shared land trust between a private owner and the Tualatin Wildlife Refuge, if you guys probably know that. And Wetzel Woods is a place that a lot of schools and the program Outdoor School, which you may have heard of, they go to and they take water samples and they do a lot of stuff there to just get the feel of it, get the feel of being in nature and stuff like that. So my project was I created a nature trail. So I took out, there was a previous one, but it was kind of beaten down and all of that. So I took it out, made a new nature trail 36 inches wide, built steps, tons of steps up and down different hills so that kids can walk along that. And by doing that, I moved a bridge that was previously placed on the old nature trail to the new one. And moving this bridge allowed the landowner to put in a culvert that was can be used for motorized vehicles to get across, so that then they can continue on with construction of that new area. And so benefiting the kids by having the nature trail, they can do new water samples at the creek that runs nearby, more construction later on down the trail for different, like maybe more Eagle projects. And that's pretty much it. It was a really fun experience. I had my troop, Troop 116, came and helped me out, a lot of my friends, and it was just a lot of fun, and I am appreciative, whatever, of that experience and of my whole scouting journey.
Fantastic. Does anybody else have any other questions? Getting an Eagle Scout is an incredibly impressive achievement, and it takes a lot of years of hard work, and so I congratulate you on behalf of the city of Sherwood. It's wonderful that you have gone this far to have this great achievement. Anybody else have any questions for Jerry?
That just sounds like a huge project. That's a big project for
Yeah.
an Eagle Scout project.
It actually, with all the people that came and helped me, it did not take very long. It only took one full day, and so got it done really fast. A lot of hard work, and we were planning on 2 weeks of it, so it was just got a lot of people to help out and got it done fast.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. We have a mayoral recognition award for June Reynolds. Is June Reynolds here tonight? Yay. Now, this was Mayor Middleton's idea, and it is an outstanding one, so I am going to let him do the presenting.
In case you don't know June, she's Miss History for the city of Sherwood. She has books out there. She's works all the time over in the Historical Society. She's friends with everybody, and she is a gem for this community. And that's why every year now we will be recognizing citizens that are going above and beyond and don't ask anything in return. They're strictly good people doing a great job. So thank you very much, June. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. It's a great honor.
Thank you, June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a new idea for Mayor Middleton, and I think it was an excellent one. So I just wanted to give him an opportunity to give that award to June. Very much deserved. So we are going on to citizen comments. I have several here. Nancy Taylor. And if anyone wants to make a citizen comment, the forms are on the back table. You can fill them out and give them to our city recorder, and I will recognize you to make citizen comments. Nancy, welcome.
And Mayor and Council, excuse me if I may, the timer is not working this evening. So Assistant City Manager Tom Fitzmere will be monitoring the time.
Okay. Yeah, each person gets 4 minutes for those. You can do it.
Nancy Taylor, citizen of Sherwood. Homeowner,
There.
taxpayer, taxpayer. First, let me just congratulate you all. I am so elated to have the 4 of you elected into this office. And I am so proud of all of you, and you all know what I did for each of you individually. My topic tonight was change is good, and it is really good in Sherwood tonight. Since you're all 4 women, I just want to give you one piece of advice. Eleanor Roosevelt said, to be in politics, you need to have skin as thick as a rhinoceros. So no matter what anyone says, keep that skin as thick as a rhinoceros. And if it gets really bad, call me, and I'll tell you you're wonderful, okay?
That's all I wanted to say. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Great
Nancy.
job.
Eugene Stewart?
Eugene Stewart, I'm a taxpayer. I live outside the city limits. I am active at the Sherwood Senior Center on the steering committee and the Sherwood Seniors, Inc. I'd like to request that the city take a look at funding a pilot program to see if there's a way we can provide rides for seniors to get to lunch. There are a few, we don't know how many, who aren't able to make it either because they're afraid to walk down the sidewalks because they aren't too even. They go, when you get to a driveway, they go down, and some of the seniors get a little unbalanced when we come across those. They're trimmed back a little better than they have been in past years, but it'd be interesting to go to see if we can get more people to come to the senior center. The other thing I'd like to speak to you, I've also enjoy being involved in the comprehensive plan. And it's been several years now, probably 20 or 30, since we've done a complete, all the way from the front to the back. And I think it'd be nice if the city would provide enough money so that they can get the citizens involved in it and do a review of the whole thing from beginning to end. I don't know, you're probably looking at one staff person for a year or two. Yeah. And it's something you need to look at and put in to your budget for next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one last word. And I hope whoever is appointed from the council to be liaison to the seniors starts coming to the meetings here soon. Since Robin resigned, we haven't had anybody up there, and there are questions that come up all the time. And we appreciate it if you come up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean. We've missed you.
Tess Keys?
Hi. I would like to sit here and say congratulations. To all of our new members. The proof is in the pudding, and I'm waiting to see what happens. I don't like bullying, and I don't like how this meeting started out, so I hope it gets better. My main reason for being here tonight was to thank Walmart, who worked alongside with our mayor and Linda Henderson at a funeral recently of a very dear, dear friend of mine who died unexpectedly, and Walmart had hired him. He had not been able to get a full-time job anywhere. He was 53 years old, and unfortunately was hit by a car on his way out of the parking lot. Scott, who is the general manager of Walmart, along with several of his managers, made sure that they were at that funeral, that they provided a ton of food, and that all of those people who sometimes don't get along worked hand in hand to make sure that that funeral was absolutely, I have never been to a bigger funeral in my life. And Jeff Olds, whose family were part of the Ferries and longtime Sherwood residents who've been here forever, Jeff thought he didn't touch a lot of lives, but in between the church and the Legion and the backyard, there were probably in and out close to 300 people to pay tribute to him. And I would like to see the city come together in those kinds of situations and put their differences aside. I saw Bill with an apron on. I saw Linda bring in dishes. I saw Scott from Walmart, and nobody was anything but decent to each other. And I would like to see that go on. And if that is something, if that is a legacy that Jeff could make happen in his short life, it would be wonderful to see that continue on this council board. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Middleton?
I'm Bill Middleton, live at 22567 Southwest Saunders Drive in Sherwood. I gave you all a copy of a ballot measure that I'd like to see if the council may want to put this as a charter amendment. And what it's regarding is something I couldn't get through when I was mayor. It was to make sure that the voters are allowed to vote on all taxes, charges, and fees imposed on residential properties by the city. And then we cap how much we can charge on taxes too. It's to make
we have a lot of people that don't have giant incomes but still want to live in Sherwood, and we don't want to tax everybody out of Sherwood. And I think that we have enough money in the city that we could be successful, even though we put a cap, and it just would make sure that we monitor our budget and we make sure that it's fair to everybody in the community. So I gave you a copy, read it, and if you guys are willing to do it, otherwise we'll have to go out and get signatures, and I'd rather not have to, but I will. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, we move on to new business. Resolution 2015-001, declaring Councilor Clark's City Council seat vacant. Joe Gall.
Mayor and Council, your first official act as a council is to do something fairly simple, which is declare former Councilor Clark's seat vacant. So this is a formal action. Because she was just sworn in as mayor, you cannot hold two offices. So essentially, her seat is vacant already by that action, but this resolution would make that official and would make the official date of that vacancy today. More importantly, it would set up an election in May to fill your term, because you have more than 13 months or had more than 13 months remaining in your term by the city charter and code. That is filled by an election process. And the next available election would be in May. So the two things this resolution does that it states in the staff report that I just want to make sure you understand is declaring the date of the vacancy and setting the election in May to have the citizens ultimately select who will serve the remainder of the term. It does not, and I want to be clear, get into whether or not this council is going to appoint an interim person. It doesn't get into how that appointment process gets handled. It is strictly, you might want to consider that tonight and give some direction in terms of moving forward, but that's not covered in this resolution, and I want to make sure that everyone is clear in what you're voting for. So it's pretty straightforward unless you have any questions that we can answer. Otherwise, we can move forward with a vote, hopefully.
Any questions?
I have a question. Okay. So after a seat is declared vacant, what is the next process outlined in the code?
That's in your staff report. There's a section.
Right, but they don't have the staff
Well,
report.
again, I think we would get to that if you decide to fill the vacancy. So I don't know if this current body has decided to fill the vacancy because you haven't declared it yet. So my suggestion is to act on this resolution, declare the vacancy, state that it's going to be filled at the election, and if you want to talk about appointment process and code, do that after this resolution. Because it will be confusing to many of us if we're talking about something that is not part of the resolution you're considering. That's my suggestion.
Under the city charter, you can, the decision whether or not to appoint an interim person, you don't have to. You can if you want to, you don't have to. But first, the seat has to be declared vacant. So that's the resolution that's in front of you.
Okay.
So, Council President Henderson, I mean, your question's a valid one and a good one, and I think we'll get to that. I just don't think, because you're considering a very limited resolution, talking about it now will probably just add confusion to everybody in what is really a very simple resolution at this point. That's my recommendation. So.
Okay, do I have a motion?
A motion that we declare it vacant.
I'll need a motion to approve the resolution.
To approve the resolution
Councilor King, are you?
2015-001.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So, Mayor, if you would like to continue the discussion about whether the council is going to fill the seat, yes or no, if the decision is yes, then how are you going to do that? And then we can look at the code section if you want to have that discussion now.
Okay, I'd like to have that discussion now. Does council want to fill the vacant seat, or the seat made vacant?
I think we should fill it and have.
So push your button.
I think my button's
Okay,
pushed.
Jeff.
My button is pushed.
There we go. There we go.
I think we should fill the seat and do the 2-week notice and just follow the process.
So what Counselor Harris is talking about is within the packet, it was discussed on under the municipal code. Sylvia provided us with a process for filling a vacancy. And so the first step, if we are reading this correctly, is that we notice. Is that correct, Sylvia? Okay. And so do I have a motion for Sylvia to notice the vacancy?
I motion that Sylvia fill the vacancy.
Notice. the
Notice.
vacancy?
Notice.
Is that your
the-
motion?
I motion that Sylvia notice the vacancy.
Okay. And do I have a second?
I second
Okay.
the notice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, motion carries, and so Sylvia, you will notice the vacancy. And how long will people have to apply, and what's the process of that application?
The code indicates that the notice needs to be minimum of 2 weeks. Upon that 2-week period, the council can choose to extend that deadline further, but you have to, at a minimum, 2 weeks.
Okay,
Upon applications being submitted similar to our previous process when we filled the vacancy, the information will be posted to the website, the information will be posted, if time allows, in the next Archer or Gazette. We'll accept the applications, and if the council again so chooses to go through an interview process, as previously, the council will then direct staff to contact the applicants, schedule interviews, and go through that process.
okay. And so I think that 2 weeks is more than enough time, because I think that the sooner we fill it, the better. And so there's no need to wait. So do I have a motion that Sylvia notice it for the 2-week period? Do I need that?
With the 2-week period beginning tomorrow, effective tomorrow, 14 days from tomorrow's date?
14 days from tomorrow's date.
So our January 21st.
21st.
Can we do it from today's date? Is there any reason why we can't notice it?
Typically not. The date an action is taken isn't
So
counted.
you're going to notice it tomorrow for 14
For a
days?
14-day period, and
Okay.
then we will close that notice on the 21st
Yeah.
at 5 PM.
And do you need a motion to do this, or do you just need direction of council? Because it appeared like we had agreement all the way across the dais.
You don't need a motion.
Okay, so,
We would follow the code.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
so-
minimum that the code requires.
okay, I think that is more than enough time, and so if council approves, does that sound good to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, all right, 15 days it is, 14 days from, 14 days from tomorrow.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, and so our next item of business is selection of council president. Do I have a motion for a council president?
So I don't have the charter in front of me, but just as a reminder, in the charter, it states at the first January meeting of a new council each year that you will select a council president. That's all the charter addresses in terms of the council president's role. It doesn't get into whoever you choose as council president in terms of how long that tenure is. There's no, 2-year tenure as council president or 1 year. It just says that at your first meeting in January, you must select a council president.
And it's a motion.
Right. so
Yes,
you
it'd
would-
be a very similar process, and you'll get used to this, Councilor Harris, very quickly, is anytime you want to take action, you always have to have a motion and a second. And then once you have that motion and second, then's the time for the council to ask questions, make comments, things like that before the vote. So motions and seconds move things forward. So if you had someone in mind that you wanted to nominate for council president, you could make a motion to nominate Councilor XYZ to be council president. And then that would be seconded, then there'd be discussion, and then ultimately a vote.
Okay.
Can you clarify the role of council president, just for the audience?
The role of council president largely in terms of the charter is to serve in the role of mayor when the mayor is unavailable. So council president, if in this case Mayor Clark was unable to attend meeting, the council president would assume the presiding officer role, would run the meeting and facilitate the process.
Okay.
That's the primary responsibility of the president.
Got it.
Other questions before we discuss, before any motions are made, or? And just for clarity, and I'm going to have Chris chime in on this, you're a group of 6 right now. So the likelihood of tie votes are much higher when we have an even number. And I think you know from your training from the city recorder, a 3-3 vote fails. So it has to be a majority, in this case 4 out of 6, to support whoever's nominated to be council president. A 3-3 tie votes. If you cannot agree on someone tonight, if you have a series of nominations and everyone can't agree and get to 4 votes, Chris, my understanding is that the current council president would retain that position. You have to have a council president. You cannot operate without a council president as a council.
As it turns out, there is substantial case law on this point, and Article 15, Section 1 of the Oregon Constitution, as interpreted by the Supreme Court, a public official remains in office until a successor is appointed. So that's correct. Until such time as the council is able to appoint a council president, the current council president continues in office.
Okay. Any other questions for staff before council has the discussion and any possible motions? We're not going anywhere, so I just want to make sure we're covering the basics here.
Well, I'll make the motion to nominate Linda as council president, Linda Henderson. And the reason I make that nomination is because it's not that I disagree with any of the new members, it's because they're brand new. So from the point of Linda's experience, having already been a council president, that's why I make that nomination. Not to say that anybody else in the future can't fulfill that role. I'm just saying at this moment in time. That's why I'm making the nomination.
And I'd like to second that. I would like to open it up for discussion, to talk through a few points and some ideas. I do think that Linda has a lot of experience, and although I don't think that others would make a good would not make a good council president in the future, but I would like to open that up for discussion. So I second that motion.
Now there's a motion on the table.
So, yeah, I'd like to vote on the motion on the table, and then we can discuss, because we've got a motion on the table and we have a second.
But you need discussion on the motion.
Oh, okay.
Do we discuss now?
All right, we'll go ahead and discuss. So,
So do I say what I'm voting?
yes,
or-
well,
Chris, can you clarify just, they don't have to necessarily say how they're going to vote.
No, that's correct. That you just need to provide opportunity for discussion on the motion. People can speak or not speak. They don't have to declare how they're going to vote. Once everybody has said everything they want to say, then you go ahead and have the vote.
And if everyone understands the motion, there really is not a need to have.
Well, if everybody
lots of
understands the
discussion.
motion and doesn't want to say anything, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to be clear for everybody, so.
yeah, and I'm more than happy to have a discussion about that motion, because I absolutely positively would not vote for Linda Henderson as my council president. And I have lots of reason why, not because she's not a good counselor, because I think she's an excellent counselor. But her duties as council president in the last 2 years have been obtrusive. She was argumentative with Councilor Middleton and could not agree or work with in a respectful fashion. And I think that doesn't move us forward. And I think that we need to move forward. I think that there's absolutely positively nothing wrong with Linda as a person. I think that she's done wonderful, amazing things in the community of Sherwood. But this is a job. It's a job title. And the job title is to work with the mayor. And she has proven in the last 2 years to not be able to take on the job title. Also, I'd like to point out that we have an excellent member of our body currently who has a great legal background, and that's Sally Robinson. I think that she would make a wonderful council president. I think that she knows the law very well, clearly. She has a law degree. And so I don't think that it would be difficult for her to run a meeting in a judicious fashion. I think that I would work very well with her. And that's really a big part of it. Another big part of it is I went to a lot of outside meetings for Mayor Middleton when I was a counselor sitting to his right, because Councilor President Henderson was unavailable. You need to be available to be kind of that assistant to the mayor. And I think that that is a necessary part. And I think that if that's something that you're not willing to do, which has been proven in past behavior, I don't think that the next behavior will be different than the past behavior. Past behavior tends to predict future behavior, and so I would expect the same kind of behavior. So I want a council president that's going to answer my texts, answer my emails, talk to me on the phone, and move the city forward in a positive manner. I don't think that person is Councilor Henderson. And so for that reason, I would not be voting for her.
Okay. All good thoughts, Mayor. I would like to say a few things. I am in the dubious position of knowing where I might be in terms of how I would be voting or where I sit on this team. A couple of things that I would like to bring forward include the fact that, Linda does have a lot of experience. There has been a lot of dissension on council. And I'm not the kind of person to run away from conflict, because I really honestly believe that conflict absolutely leads to resolution. And when you turn away an opportunity for someone who has done some work in the past, and there are two individuals that may not see eye to eye on things, sometimes you need time to work things out, to see if you can make something good out of something that wasn't so good over the past couple of years. We are a new council. We are supposed to be acting as a team. And quite frankly, we actually have 2 council seats that are not filled yet by the vote of the people. And I would like to put forth an idea that perhaps we keep Linda on as a council president until we get the 2 new councilors that would come by May, and then vote again as a full body on council president. I would just hate to see it, both of you give up an opportunity to try to work together. I understand that there are a lot of issues that have occurred in the past, but I would, for one, like to see some coming together to work on the public good. So that's my comments.
Well, and I think those are great thoughts, Jennifer Kuiper. I really appreciate that. And I, of course, am always willing to work with anyone. I'm willing to answer emails, answer phone calls. But unfortunately, I need someone who has the confidence when they do have the gavel to control the meeting. And unfortunately, Linda Henderson has chosen that has proven, not chosen, proven that that is not the case. Under the last pressure of the last council that you're talking about, that there was a lot of pressure being on the last council. There was a lot of dissension. There was a lot of arguing, and believe me, I heard about it from all the other mayors. Woo, Sherwood, that's a real viper pit. I don't want to hear that anymore. And I'll tell you that when Linda Henderson did have the seat when Mayor Middleton was out of town, she allowed an illegal motion on the table. She was told by our attorney that it was an illegal motion. It was to remove me from the position of council liaison to the chamber. And she still allowed a vote on an illegal motion that our attorney had told her was illegal. That is not the action of someone who is good under pressure, who can handle the position that comes with holding the gavel. And that is what a council president has to do. They not only have to work with the mayor, which I can work with absolutely anyone, but they have to be able to, when I am gone because I'm ill or I just, for whatever reason I cannot make a meeting, I have to know that my council president will have the ability to run the meeting in a fair and reasonable manner, following the law. I think that person is Sally Robinson.
I have a question. So every January, you can elect a new council president, is that correct?
Again, Chris, you may want to chime in because the charter's silent. All this charter says that in each January, you must elect a council president. There are no terms.
Okay.
It actually says, at its first meeting each year, the council must elect a president from its membership.
Yeah.
The president presides in the absence of the mayor and acts as mayor when the mayor is unable to perform its duties. So the affirmative obligation on the city council under Section 9 of the city charter is to elect a president at its first meeting each year. It does not preclude the city council from doing so more often, but it does set a floor. You have to do it at least the first meeting of each year.
I think it's important to point out, too, that's a job title. You run the meeting when the mayor's not there. That's the job title. It's not a position of honor. It's not a position of the most senior counselor. It's a job title. So who is best fitted for this job?
That's why I made the argument, being a new council and having all these new counselors on. We can certainly revisit that issue again in the near future, and I think that would be appropriate. So,
Being the last to chime in, I'll let you know that I am happy to serve as council president, and I am more than willing to work with Chrisanna Clark. So, the reason why I will not be voting for Linda Henderson for council president is several reasons, okay? During the election, I met with Linda, and I asked specifically, how are you going to get along with Chrisanna if she wins? And there was no response, ladies and gentlemen, no response of any nature that made sense, okay? She said, I don't know. Well, I haven't heard anything since that date that would let me believe that she has intentions to cooperate, to be in the same room as Chrisanna, to not huff and move her items from a table if Chrisanna's going to sit at the table, who's not going to stand here on this very day of our first meeting of the year and announce to a bunch of people how mad she is about something Chrisanna said. I'm sorry, that is not the type of person that can get along with the mayor and hold council president seat. I will not take such childish actions. I'm happy to fill the seat. I think it's disturbing that the prior council could not get along. And I, for one, am tired of the bickering, the fighting, the backstabbing, and things being brought to the council that have no business here. I want to lead positively. I don't think continuation of Council Henderson as the president is going to move us positively. I think it will keep us in the same rut we've been in all year long.
So I would like to ask Councilor President Henderson what you have to say to counter that. I mean, how, moving forward, I'm in a position where all of us have to make a vote. What are you going to do to extend an olive branch and improve working relations with the new mayor?
Well, now I'm in obviously a difficult position to defend myself, which is not normally the vote that happens. I'd like to begin with the illegal motion comment. So, Chris, I believe you were there that night.
To be honest with you, I have no idea what you're talking about. What night? What was the motion?
So Mayor Middleton was gone, and I was running the meeting, and Councilor Grant wanted to make a motion to appoint a new counselor to represent the chamber, which was a request from the chamber. And there was a motion and then a second on the table. That is the motion that Mayor Clark has brought up. So as the presiding officer, we sought legal counsel from legal, and they wind up being a vote for which I voted nay because I didn't agree with the motion. It wasn't on the agenda. It was a walk-on. We generally have all agreed that walk-on resolutions are only in an emergency, and so the vote was,
I don't recall.
2-4. I'm not sure. 3-4, and actually Mayor Middleton was on the phone. And there was a motion and a second, and when there's a motion and a second on the table, then action has to be taken. And so we took action. There were 3 nays and 4 ayes, I believe.
Okay.
You're missing a
So
piece,
is
though.
that a illegal motion?
I don't
The
know, but
counselor-
I can assure you whatever my advice was at the time was correct.
So-
Your advice at the time was that it was not a legal motion.
Yes,
That
I
was
there.
your advice.
I was there.
I wouldn't speak in terms of a motion being legal or illegal. A motion is either proper or improper under Robert's rules. So I would never have said it was either a legal or an illegal motion, I don't think.
Actually, your statement was that it is illegal under the charter rules because the mayor appoints under the charter rules. Let me.
Council rules.
Yeah,
not
sorry,
the
council
charter
rules. Sorry,
Council rules.
council rules. Yeah.
Rich.
So let me, try to jump your memory there.
So the council rules are not a.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to make a definitive statement about something I really have no clear recollection
Right.
of, frankly. Sorry, guys.
You did at the time.
Okay.
And she was.
Well,
you
we'll
know,
have to consult the minutes, but I'm not prepared to go on the record.
I was there, but it was chaos. So, just saying.
Right. I don't know if staff remembers, but if that was a violation of council rules, that doesn't make the motion illegal. That motion, that makes it a violation of council rules and not an illegal motion. Because I didn't make the motion.
So you're okay with violating council rules? Is that what your statement is?
No, I'm not okay with violating council rules.
So, but you are
And we
saying
were
that the
not
statement. that
Can
the-
you please let me finish?
Well, I want to make sure because
A
you're.
member who has the floor has to be allowed to complete their
Okay, go
statement
ahead.
before.
So that was an unfortunate incident. I was not aware that Councilor Grant was going to make that motion. I was as surprised as I was, and I voted nay. That is clearly something that Councilor Clark has been carrying. Mayor Clark, sorry, former Councilor Clark, was upset and frustrated by that, but that was not something I initiated or something I voted for. Secondly, Mayor Clark said that she attended a number of meetings on Mayor Middleton's account. I attended a number of meetings as well, but there were instances when Mayor Middleton, me being the first alternate and Councilor Clark being the second alternate, he chose to bypass me and to ask you to go to the meeting, and that is not something that I control. In fact, there was a meeting in which Washington County Coordinating Committee, for which I was the first alternate, Mayor Middleton called Councilor Clark at a very late hour, and she called staff, and she was actually not listed as an alternate, and you attended the meeting when I, in reality, was listed as an alternate and was not contacted by Mayor Middleton. So I can't control who the mayor calls to attend a meeting. But meetings that he asked me to attend, I did attend on his behalf unless I had a double commitment. Okay. The other part of the council presidency role, per council rules, is to meet with the mayor and, in a collaborative process, develop the agenda. And that process ceased probably in September. The mayor refused to meet with me. He asked to meet separately with staff, and that was also something that I didn't control. He made a choice not to continue to meet with the council president or to consult the council president, whoever's in that role, per council rules, and that is not something that I control. He made that choice and frankly put staff in a very difficult position. Okay, that meeting was every Thursday at 9:30. So unfortunately, staff would have to meet twice instead of attending one meeting. Mayor Clark, then Councilor Clark, also attended some of those meetings, and those meetings were pretty productive. At one point, we offered the opportunity to cycle in other members of council so they can all get experience setting the agenda, reviewing the agenda, understanding how that works. And at that time, the mayor chose to only invite Councilor Clark. I, again, don't control the mayor, and that basically eliminated other councilors the opportunity to learn about how the council agenda meeting is set. As far as Councilor Robinson's comments, she invited me to lunch. We met at lunch over in Lake Oswego, and my recollection of the meeting was cordial, in which she said, I think I can get along with you or Chrisana, depending upon who gets elected. And we did talk about her background and the things that she was interested in. And that was months ago. And at the time, I may not have been thinking about these issues because a lot of the petty issues and arguing and things were not going on at that time. And we were functioning somewhat. The other issue that Councilor Clark brought up is I need somebody to return my texts or my emails. I think texting is actually a really terrible way to communicate as an elected official. But we had an issue in December where we needed to do our city recorder's review. So I reached out to all of council and asked them the dates that they could attend an executive session so we could get the meeting done. I heard back from everybody but Councilor Clark and Mayor Middleton. And I said, please let me know if you can attend an executive session on either Monday or Tuesday, which would be the 29th and the 30th of December, so that we can complete our obligation to conduct a review for Sylvia Murphy. And Mayor Middleton and Councilor Clark did not respond yay or nay. Again, I can't control whether or not they respond. So I see the role as council president as if the mayor is unable to do their duties, which includes running the meeting, as well as attending meetings at Metro, the WRWC, which is the Willamette River Water Coalition, or the Washington County Coordinating Committee. Those are meetings where you have to go and an elected official has to vote. And that elected official has to vote informed and has to be prepared to go to the meeting and might need to go prepared to the meeting at only a moment's notice. And that is an important role of the council president. And when Mayor Middleton needed me to fill that role or attend a tour of City Hall, then I filled that role. But that was only when he asked me. So Mayor Clark says that I didn't attend those meetings. I don't know how she knows that or how that statement is proven. But I have been attending meetings when I've been asked, and I've attended a number of breakfasts and events where we represent the city, where we gather information and meet with other elected officials that Mayor Middleton didn't attend at all. And I'm also happy to serve. And tonight we had a bumpy start, and there was a threat to me personally to be removed from the room by our chief. I don't take that lightly. That's going from 0 to, the last resort with no conversation in between. And I don't think anybody would take lightly the threat of police action against them for requesting to stay in a seat that I have grown accustomed to. But again, there was no conversation. There was no information communicated to at least Councilor King and I, and I'm sure it's no surprise that there's a dividing line here at the council. There was a retreat over the weekend that certain members attended, and I did not attend, and things were said and information was disseminated, but only to people to my right, not to Councilor King and myself. So if we want to cast the first stone, then the opportunity to find common ground and to meet in the middle and do the work of the city is a dialogue, not a monologue. It's a two-way street and a two-way opportunity, and it also includes working with staff and being responsive to staff, responding to staff's email. If you look in the packet regarding the budget committee appointments, there was a recommendation for staff in which they listed some frustration as far as counselors not getting back to them so that they could do their job and the work of the city. And the only way to move forward is to find ways to work professionally like you would do in any job. And that's certainly what I expect. And the issues I had with Mayor Middleton are well documented, and Multiple times he accused me of doing things behind his back, and those were all proven to be false. And I think that Mayor Clark's representation of me is very biased and is based on only one source of information. And there's been no opportunity for me to have the opportunity to sit down and discuss with her any of the issues that she has concerning me, because there is no conversation between the two of us. And that's a two-way street. So are there ways to mend that? I think so. But so far I haven't seen a lot of effort to reach out to what is technically the left side of the dais. And we're a city manager council form of government, not a city manager mayor form of government. And we have a retreat coming up where we're going to have the opportunity to not be in such a formal setting. And while I didn't attend the retreat, we'll have the opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better in an environment that's not so contentious, where we feel like there needs to be attacks on individual character or third-party discussions about behavior. So I don't think that any of my actions, I also would like to address one other thing I think Mayor Clark said, which is about when you have the gavel, you control the meeting. We had a very contentious meeting during the Walmart issue, and we got through it. It wasn't pleasant, but I remember Dean Boswell coming up and saying, "You're probably going to kick me out of here because of what I'm going to say." And I stopped him and I said, "Then don't say it. I know you're frustrated and you're angry about what's happening, and I can appreciate that. But think about if you were at work and you really needed to talk to us and we're your coworkers. So take a breath and rethink your thoughts." And he goes, "Okay, thank you." And he took a moment and he was able to talk to us professionally and productively. And that was a long meeting, and it was handled as best as I think anybody would have handled it, given the tensions in the room. And then the second to last meeting where we discussed...
Could we wrap it up?
The appointment of Councilor King, we had a very good discussion about that process, and the meeting went very nicely. We were respectable and productive, and I think that we can continue those meetings with some effort on both parties.
Okay, Councilor Harris or Councilor?
So,
She's got it.
I'm on, right?
Maybe your mic's not
There you
working.
are.
Okay. So I've heard several times people say, look at this as a job. I happen to come from HR. So in my position as a professional from HR, we would not keep these two working in the same department. And I think that the proof is here. So while they have to work together in some level, I'm having a difficult time supporting their close relationship as council president and mayor. So I was not sure which way I would vote, but after this that I've just seen, I think that my support would be towards Sally Robinson. She's definitely got the background, I think, to step into the position. And I think that the mayor and Councilor Henderson have some things that they need to work out, and I fully support them doing that. I think that we're all ready for something new. We're all ready for a change. And I think everyone needs to take a breath, step back, and just start over. So I think this is a good time to do that. One of the things I clarified is we can get a new council president, and it sounds like from what Chris has said, anytime. But definitely again in January, we can look at it, and maybe things will be better. Maybe Sally will hate the job. Maybe Linda and Councilor Henderson and Mayor Clark will have mended fences, and things will be different. But at this time, I think for our citizens and for our city, we need two people who can work together and work together right away and not spend their time trying to figure out how to get along. So that's my 2 cents. and I'm ready to vote.
Okay, and we have a motion on the table and a second for our council president to be Counselor Henderson. All in favor? All opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
I'm sorry, I was going to say aye. So.
Aye.
Did you vote? I'm sorry.
I'd say nay.
Okay.
No.
Motion fails. Do we have another motion?
I motion for Sally Robinson for council president.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I believe we have a new council president. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to our public hearings. Congratulations, Council President Robinson. Ordinance 2015-001, amending section 10.12. Chief Groth? This is our first reading. We do have a new process. Sorry to interrupt you, Chief Groth. We do have a new process, and so we're going to kind of be walking through this a little bit slowly for our ordinances. So I'm going to go to Chief Groth and let him present this.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Members of council, what you have before you is ordinance 2015-001, amending section 10.12 of the municipal code relating to miscellaneous traffic regulations by adding a new section 10.12.235 relating to the use of certain all-terrain vehicles in the city by police, fire, paramedics, and public works personnel while in the performance of their duties. And as Mayor Clark mentioned, so tonight will be the first reading. So the issue before you is should City Council amend current municipal code to allow first responders and public works personnel to operate all-terrain vehicles in the performance of their duties. By way of background, the current language in the municipal code does not address the use of these all-terrain vehicles, and by my understanding from legal counsel by default, prohibits that use of those vehicles. So in the past, those vehicles have only been operated under certain circumstances during special events when a street was closed, during a parade, something like that, and not as a part of their routine operations. In addition, the city has not been in possession of anything, let me rephrase that. The city has had limited types of equipment. Public Works has, I think, one or two gators, but we haven't had any of the types of vehicles that we're going to talk about tonight. However, now the city is in possession through the police department, through grant funding, of two all-terrain vehicles that can be used for patrolling open spaces and were obtained and equipped to be used for emergency response and disaster response. The amended language, which is attached as Exhibit 1, will allow first responders and public works personnel to utilize these vehicles in the performance of their duties in daily operations, and it includes Class 1 and Class 4 all-terrain vehicles. So the easiest way to think about a Class 1 is a smaller, what is routinely referred to as quads, and then a Class 4 are the larger four-wheeled vehicles, commonly referred to as side-by-sides, and in your staff report you have pictures there so you can clearly understand what we're talking about. As I said, I want to elaborate a little bit. These were obtained on a grant and through the Urban Area Security Initiative. They've been established and equipped as disaster response and emergency response vehicles. Oftentimes, in the case of disasters, roads are closed, roads are blocked. These vehicles will allow us to get around all kinds of obstructions. They've been specially equipped with patient litters, so that if need be, we can get in somewhere, get a victim, get them on the back, and get them extricated from a place where we might not be able to get a car into. And additionally, beyond that, they're also great for routine operations. We have so many green spaces and so many areas that you can't get a car to. It's prohibited for routine patrol because an officer's got to get out of their car and walk. And, they're just hesitant to get too far away from the car because if they get something, they got to go hustling back to the car to respond to the call. This would enable them to be much more mobile and patrol those areas. Financial impacts, there are no additional costs with this amendment, with the amendment to the code. So as I said, you have the language. This is just new language that has been placed into the code at that new section. None of the other remaining portion of the chapter has been modified. So with that, staff respectfully recommends City Council conduct a first reading of ordinance 2015-001, amending the municipal code to allow first responders and public works personnel to operate all-terrain vehicles in the city of Sherwood. Thank you.
Thank you. So so do I open the public hearing, or do we have discussion first under our new procedure?
I'm sorry, you got the code in front of you?
So Mayor, the recent language to the charter, the recently amended charter, indicates that at each meeting that the ordinance is considered, the title of the ordinance shall be read and public comment shall be accepted prior to the vote of the council. So at this time, if you would like to read the title, invite the public to come forward, and then the council consider. There is additional language, and I'll read that if you'd like, in regards to a unanimous vote of the council. If you choose to adopt tonight, you may, with the unanimous vote. If you don't, then we will continue this item to the next council meeting for the second reading.
Okay. All right. We are discussing ordinance 2015-001, amending section 10.12 of the municipal code relating to miscellaneous traffic regulations by adding a new section, 10.12.235, relating to the use of certain all-terrain vehicles in the city by police, fire, paramedics, and public works personnel while in the performance of their duties. So do I have any public comment? All right. Mayorta? Myers. So give that to Sylvia when you're done. It's fine. You can bring it up.
Good evening. I forgot how to do this. Good evening. My name is Mears Meyer. I live here in Sherwood, 24002 Southwest Middleton. My only question to council before voting is what impact might this have on our budget? And would something else be taken from the police that they need in order to accommodate? I mean, having said that, I think it's a fantastic idea, but I would like to know the implications of a yay vote.
Mayor and council, can we respond to that?
Yes, please do respond.
Jeff, do you want to, there is no financial impact that we're aware of. These are grant funded. They would be, I think it's important for people to know, similar to the RV that you have, it is available to other agencies. So I think that's an important connotation to let the folks know. So can you answer the question, talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, although I think you did a great job. These UASC assets are granted to the grantee, in this case, the city of Sherwood. They belong to us. It is our responsibility to maintain them and make them available as a regional asset should other agencies need them. So another agency experiences some kind of crisis. They say, hey, we could use some, this tool. And we say, absolutely, it's a regional asset. You can utilize it. But it didn't cost us anything to get them. So just be routine maintenance. And regarding the second half of that question, I'm not sure I completely understand it, but it certainly doesn't have any negative impact on any of the equipment or resources that we have, I guess. Okay.
I have a quick question following up on that, Chief. Let's just say we let Newburgh borrow them in some incident, and what if they wreck them? Is our insurance going to pay for that, or would they be obligated to either replace it or reimburse the insurance?
Well, I think there's probably two answers to that. One, we are required to maintain insurance on all the assets under our control, as are any agency. So it's important to realize this isn't unique to us. Washington County, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, many agencies have these regional assets and are playing by the same set of rules. So if, for example, when we had our tragic event over Thanksgiving, we had regional assets here on scene assisting us. If something would have happened to that, the host agency would have ultimately been responsible. So if Newburgh broke an ATV, we ultimately would be responsible. But I don't know that there's a requirement, and by responsible, I mean to provide the insurance for it, so we could follow that process. I don't know that there's a requirement that it be replaced, because at the end of life, there's no requirement that it be replaced. But I would certainly count on Newburgh or whatever agency that broke it to step up and at least be a part of a dialogue to say, hey, if we want to replace this, how can we work through this? That's the kind of relationship we have with the other agencies. So certainly that's the approach we would take if we were using a regional asset and we broke it. But hopefully that answers your question. We are responsible to maintain the insurance coverage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. One quick question. Where did you get the grant funding from? Who was providing the grant?
The grant came through the Urban Area Security Initiative, UASI. We refer to it as UASI. It's been a program that's been around for quite a while. Captain Daniel is our representative. We have been for 7 years very active in UASI. It's the same source that we got the incident command trailer through. So that they fund multiple things, but through the law enforcement working group, they fund these types of programs.
Thank you.
And Counselor and the rest of the council, especially with the new folks, you are totally allowed to say jargon alert, because as you probably have figured out, government, especially law enforcement, has its own language.
Okay, so then I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say the acronym. It stands for Urban Area what?
Security Initiative.
Initiative, okay.
It is ultimately, at its source, federal funding to allow regions that have been pre-identified to get money to prepare themselves for disasters, disaster response, disaster mitigation. I apologize, Craig, I didn't mention this a moment ago. There's also public works side of it. Our public works department is very involved with that. I thought of another example, the reader boards you see us utilize at job sites and construction sites. Those two, there were several of those, double-digit numbers that were distributed regionally, and Sherwood is the host of 2, 3.
A couple of those. We actually have a generator. We've got a trailer that they use for the air show that's filled full of barricades and stuff, as well as we have a portable water unit that you can actually pull water from a mud puddle and drink in an emergency at so many gallons a minute. So it's not enough to take care of the whole community, but it's enough that we could do something with. So we have received those.
That's cool.
So those are just some other examples of some assets that your city, this community is hosting. And of course, the value of that is we don't have to ask to borrow them. If it's something like that we need, it's in the yard, it's there, we've got it, and we don't have to say, hey, who's got, whatever, who's got a generator we can use, who's got a reader board. So it's very beneficial for the community to have these resources.
So I'd like to give the public a continued opportunity because I did receive another request to speak. So Wendy Malcolmson.
Hi, my name is Wendy Malcolmson, 22424 Southwest Washington Street, and I live here in Old Town, and I would wholeheartedly support police and EMS to have access to those sort of vehicles. My concern specifically is we've had a couple instances, one in which my Volvo was broken into and the police came and were trying to track someone and ended up bringing in the K9 unit and did an area search. And would they be able to use that for search of Stella Olson? Because that has been a couple times when there's been mischief downtown. People tend to go into the park and hide out where you guys can't access them.
Yes, Stella Olson is a great example. I mentioned the greenways. We've had lots of discussion about Cedar Creek Trail, and we've talked about, how are we going to police that, patrol that, and this is the type of tool we would need to be able to do that and still be mobile enough to respond back to a car or respond to a call, quite frankly. So, yeah, Stella Olson is a great example.
Great. And the
last winter when there was snow between the high school and Stella Olson, there was also a bunch of kids sledding down the hill, and there was a big pole that was there. And I understand there was a child last year, or the year before, that had hit it and broken limbs and had a very difficult extrication from that area. So that would also be a great use of getting people out. That should happen again. So thanks.
So I'm not hearing anything adverse. Did you want to speak? I would entertain a motion to approve this. We own the vehicles. Let's start using them.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
So we need a motion. I'm asking for a motion. So
I move we read, caption, and adopt ordinance 2015-001.
I'll second it.
Sylvia?
So just so the council understands, we're going to bypass the second reading of this ordinance, correct?
We are.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to go to my page. Yeah, I got it. Ordinance 2015-001, amending section 10.12 of the municipal code relating to miscellaneous traffic regulations by adding a new section 10.12.235 relating to the use of certain all-terrain vehicles in the city by police, fire, and public works personnel while in the performance of their duties. Counselor Robinson.
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper.
Aye.
Counselor Harris.
Aye.
Counselor King.
Aye.
Council President, sorry, I'm going to get used to your title. Counselor Henderson.
Aye.
Mayor Clark.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll move on to city manager report.
I will be brief, so everyone that's here that can get to the reception for our newly elected officials and sworn-in officials. The only thing I wanted to mention, there was a reference earlier that the city council is going to have a retreat that is going to be this Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And it is scheduled to go to approximately 1 o'clock. Mayor Clark and I have said, and we're not going past 1 because it is a Saturday. There will be lunch. I want to be specific for the public because I've already had some questions. That is a public meeting. It is essentially a work session, but the public can attend and watch the retreat. It is not a opportunity for the public to have a public hearing and to comment. It's really an opportunity for the council to get together. We have a pretty heavy agenda that we've been working on, so I wanted to remind folks 9 o'clock at the Wildlife Refuge. And the refuge is very excited about hosting us. And they have not had an opportunity to do that. So unless the mayor and council has questions specifically for me, that is my report for this evening.
Any questions for the manager?
So there are no issues with the fact that the refuge is not in the city limits of the city of Sherwood?
No.
I do have a quick question.
You're not conducting a business meeting. It is essentially a work session.
Okay.
You're
in the
not
past
gonna
that-
make- You're not going to make decisions. I think a more conservative approach is always to hold your meetings within the territory of the city, but the fact that our city logo prominently features the refuge, I think people associate the refuge with the city of Sherwood and will be just beyond our borders. I would not hold a meeting like this outside your borders, but I think in a sense like this, a work session being right outside the city is probably not a big deal. So, and if it is, we will hear from someone. So.
Okay.
And I have a quick question. As far as the agenda goes, when will that be finalized or drafted? We could just
Mayor
a heads
Clark
up.
and I have pretty much finalized it. I had shared it with her. I'm assuming, unless I hear differently from her tomorrow morning, that she is fine with it, and we'll get the agenda out probably tomorrow. A good portion of that retreat is going to be staff presentations, especially for the new counselors, kind of departmental overviews. Who does what and why, and how big is your budget, and where are you in terms of your budget so far this year? We're halfway into the fiscal year. I think you're going to have a lot of questions after we get through those presentations. That's going to be the bulk of the morning. And there may be other items that you want to discuss in a work session that you either have a second retreat or we'll do them in work sessions before your regular meeting. So there's a lot of ground to cover, and we're going to do the best we can to get a lot of work done in 4 hours. But I think because it's a Saturday and people have other things, family and other activities, we want to get out the door at 1 o'clock. So does that answer your question,
Yes,
Counselor?
thank you, thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, seeing nothing,
you.
we'll move on to, thank you very much, City Manager. We'll move on to council announcements. We, as our city manager pointed out, we do have a reception that we're going to be having in the hall, so I would just request that councilors be as brief as possible, but I'll give everybody a chance to speak. So, Councilor Harris?
I just want to say thanks for everyone coming out and my family who has mostly left, but a few of them are still out there, and my friends who came out to support me. It's been a long road and not one I expected to be up here doing. I've already seen a few tongues stuck out at me of people who are opposing my position up here, but I've seen lots of happy faces and lots of people who are supporting my position up here, and I thank you for both. It takes both people to put me up here, and it's not an easy place to be. I know that people are going to dislike some of the decisions I make. I know some people are going to support the decisions I make, and including everyone up here. Not everyone's going to like me up here all the time. I know that some people think that everyone will like me all the time up here, and some people will hate me all the time up here, but I guarantee I'm not somebody who is just a yes voter down one line or the other. I make my decisions on my own, and I make them based on my own reality and what I think is fair and just, and I will continue to do that. And I just encourage you to talk to me offline if you have questions or concerns. I'm probably one of the most fair and nicest people I've ever met in my life, and I encourage you to get to know me. So thanks again for being here, and I hope that I see more of you, because this is wonderful.
Council President Robinson?
I just want to say thank you all for all of your support for all of us, and I look forward to a great year. I think it's going to be really positive, and we're going to move forward. And anytime you feel like you don't know if your voice is going to be heard, please come talk to me or one of us. And I assure you that I will listen to whatever you have to say and consider it in making my decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor King?
If you noticed, I'm the only male up here. So I am a minority. Anyway, I'm glad that we're starting off the new year, and look forward to our meeting on Saturday. Just excited to be here. I'm running in the election. I have 2 other opponents, so it'll be interesting. And it's an exciting time to be on the board. So anyway, I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Henderson?
I would just like to coat tail, shirt tail, whatever, off of Teskey's comment. We lost a longtime member of our community right before Christmas, which is, I'm sure, extremely difficult on family and friends at a difficult time to lose a family member. And Jeff Olds was somebody that I had met at the Legion, and it's a great tragedy for his mom, who already lost a son, and it was a great outpouring of support, I think, for his family, not only at the funeral but at the Legion, where even organizations like Barbara Reynolds came in and set up a tent. Walmart did come in and provide a lot of food, and I think it was a difficult funeral for them because they didn't know what impact they had made on Jeff's life. And while it's a sad thing, a terrible thing that he died, I think to a certain extent, he passed away happy. He left his shift at Walmart where he loved his job, and he was going to go get a bite to eat at Chipotle and then go dancing at Bushwhackers, where he is known by everybody. He was known by everybody there, and a terrible tragedy happened. It was actually a tragedy in which we were so busy dealing with 2 separate DUI crashes that we actually had to call on Washington County to come in and take care of that because we didn't have enough staff to handle 3 crises in one moment. So I want to thank Washington County for coming down and helping out with that incident which happened in the parking lot. And I just want to commend the PD in their continued efforts to, I guess, self-sustain our community if and when we have a disaster. Someday we know it's all coming. We also have an EMS trailer that was a federal grant that was written, and so the ATVs are just a complement to that, so that when we have an issue in Sherwood, we'll be able to get to our residences and help them in that situation. And that's because of our PD and their forward-thinking actions, and I'd like to thank them and commend them and look forward to utilizing those equipment. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilor Kuiper?
Well, I can't say anything more than what Councilor Harris has already said, because I feel absolutely the same way that she does. I've had a chance to get to know some of the new counselors on the council, and it's been very heartening for me. I look forward to sort of being one of those links to bring people together and discuss ideas. I'm an ideas person, and I will tell you that I am probably the most delightfully odd person that I've ever met. And when you get to know me and some of the things I might say in the future on council, you'll understand that too. But I just want to thank everyone for coming out and for supporting us. It is a very difficult thing to be in this kind of a position. You do hear a lot of different kinds of ideas, a lot of different thoughts, but like what Jennifer said, I have my own internal compass that I use. And when there is not codes to fall back on or administrative rules to fall back on or council rules, I use what's fair to the public, what is transparent to the public, and then I use that positive voice inside me to help direct me. So again, if you have any questions or considerations, any one of us up on council is here to respond to those, and I'm definitely ready to respond in the most honorable way that I can, in the most honest way. So, but thank you so much, and I'm ready to go eat cookies.
Thank you, Councilor Kuiper. And so I want to thank each and every person who opened their door to me. Like Mayor Middleton, when he ran, I wore out a couple pair of tennis shoes walking around and had some hilarious interactions with people. And it was a joy to meet and talk and hear how much people love this town and love each other. This town is filled with people who want to give, who want to be involved, and who want to have a voice and to make things better. And I feel like with this new council, we absolutely are on the right track to going there. And I think that we're going to be amazing. I think that we're going to ask lots of hard questions. My door is always open. I'm actually going to have an office here at City Hall, and I welcome your input. I didn't go door to door to thousands of doors because I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. And I have to say that also, this is a very respectful town. When I was face-to-face with people, they absolutely, whether they supported me or whether they didn't, were respectful. And I'd like to follow that forward. And whether you voted for any of us or whether you didn't, I can speak only for myself, but I'm more than happy to hear from you. This is not a blockade. This is here for you. This leadership is here for you. We're here to represent your wishes and your needs, and I'm dedicated to doing that to the best of my ability. And as most of you know, this has been a journey for myself and my family, and I love this town. And we have fallen and risen in this town, and that's the way life is for everyone. And so I want to be together. So I say, let's go eat some cookies. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.